Welcome to Financial Aid 101. My name is Christina Winstead, and I'm excited to talk to you about financial aid, my favorite topic. The reason I love financial aid so much is it provided me with an opportunity to be able to earn a family wage. I was able to go to school and I'm able to earn a family wage doing something I love every single day. And that's what I want for students. I want you to find what you love that earns that family wage and get there for the cheapest price possible. And the cool thing about Washington is there's a lot of options. So, a little bit about the Washington Student Achievement Council. We're a small but mighty agency located actually all across Washington state at this point. We work to advance educational attainment and opportunities in Washington through policies and partnership, and also programs, which you might know of things like our College Bound program or the 12th year campaign, which we're providing this presentation tonight. It's really fun to work at WASAC because there's this whole team of people that you might never meet, but we're all rooting for you. We're trying to find ways to make this an easier process and just excited to have you take over the world. Today, we're going to talk about financial aid, paying for education after high school. We're going to talk about what financial aid is, the types of financial aid, when you should apply for financial aid, how to apply for financial aid, and of course, scholarships, help, and resources. So, what is financial aid? It is simply money to make education after high school more affordable. And it's different types of aid, including grants, scholarships, loans, and work study, that work together to make this more affordable. So, let's talk a little bit about those types of funding. So, I know in Washington, we do not like umbrellas, but for financial aid purposes, I'm going to encourage you to embrace the umbrella because it helps you really look at financial aid not just as an application, but different type of funding that'll help you pay for education after high school. So, the four main types of financial aid that are out there are grants, and they're income based. Grants are my favorite. They're income based. There's federal grants, there's state grants, and there's institutional grants. There's scholarships. Those are merit based, income based. There are scholarships for everything out there. And we'll talk more about them and why they go like unawarded every year. Loans, which are nobody's favorite type of financial aid, but they're the reality for a lot of students. So we want to make sure that you're an informed consumer of your loans. And then work study, which I know we need to work on naming things, students. I'm sorry. We have a program where the first word is work and the second word is study, and then we put them together in a program title. And so I promise you, it's funner than it sounds. And next time we'll work on finding a better title for a program. But work study is an amazing program. It's income based that allows you to work on campuses and at other federal agencies to earn a wage while going to school. And we'll talk more about why I love this program and why I found financial aid through it. So let's start with these types of funding. The first type are grants. I love grants because grants are how I was able to go to college. Grants are gift aid, which simply means if you receive those funds, you typically don't have to pay them back. So when you're applying for financial aid, it's not that you're just applying for loans, you're applying for gift aid, things that you don't have to pay back. And those are the things you want to take first. So grants are gift aid. There's two main grants you're going to hear about, the Washington College Grant and the Pell Grant. We'll talk more about those in a minute. But let me give you an example of when you would have to pay back your gift aid. So my example is from when I taught my first quarter at the community college, and I was really excited about teaching, and I wanted to have a fun classroom. So I made goodie bags for my students, and I had like name placards. And to be honest, it kind of looked like a kindergartner's birthday party, but I was very excited about having a class. And so all my students show up the first day. I'm so excited. I give them their goodie bags. And on day two, one of my students doesn't show up. And I'm a little bummed out. I think, "Ugh, is my snack game off? Why did the student not show back up?" And the reality is just life happens sometimes. So I didn't see the student all quarter. And at the end of the quarter, I decided to do a buffet for finals because some people like to eat their fields. So I made some eggplant rollatini. I sat down, our students presented, everyone ate food, and then a student came in and she was like, "Hey, I'm in your class." And all I could think is, "No, I see all my students here." I was like, "Sit down, have some eggplant rollatini. We'll go ahead and we will talk about what happened." I said, "So you were in my class?" She said, "Yeah, day one." I said, "Okay, it's the last day of school. What happened?" And she said, "You sent me a check." Oh, I didn't send a check. And the student gave me permission to share this. I was like, I didn't send a check, but the college probably did for your textbooks and supplies. She said, well, I didn't know that's what it was for. So I just thought you guys wanted me to have some money to have some fun before I start school. And did you know Alaska Airlines had an anniversary sale and flights to Vegas were only $50 round trip? This is when my heart just like fell to the ground and I had to like scoop it back up and put it back into my body because all I could think is, you went to Vegas with the money. And she said, yep, I went to Vegas. And then when I got back, I just didn't have any money for supplies. So I just didn't go to class. That student did owe the money back. And for that case, I highly encourage if you have to drop a class, I encourage you let financial aid know. If you're struggling in a class, there's free resources to help you. But to meet satisfactory academic progress, you need to at least maintain around a 2.0 GPA. And I'm here to tell you, as like the poster child of a 90s slacker, I did it, you can too. The other thing you have to do is complete a certain percentage of the classes that you start. So it doesn't mean that if you like fail one class, you owe everything back. But let me tell you, financial aid is amazing to use for college, but I'd encourage you don't use it for Vegas. You want to use it for things that help you be successful in school. So there could be chances you'd have to repay a grant if you went off to Vegas and spent all your money and went to school and not go didn't go to school. So I encourage you when you are taking out aid, especially gift aid, always ask financial aid if you change your class load too. Let's talk about my favorite type of funding in Washington. And in fact, this is actually one of my favorite things about Washington. And we have mountains, so that says a lot. The Washington College Grant is a groundbreaking commitment to middle and low income families. And what it does is it provides support in multiple ways. So students could be going to getting a bachelor's degree, but they could also be getting a certificate or doing job training or even apprenticeship. This funding has options for all students. It's one of the things I love about this program is the WA grant. You'll also hear it called the Washington College Grant. It is an improved version of what I received. And that's all we want for students. We want them to have more than what we did. And this allows you to do things like apprenticeship, and it has a sliding scale income eligibility. So a family of four making up to 131,000 a year will get some sort of sliding gift aid. And a family of four making 78,500 or less, they're going to get a full tuition award. Now, you might want to figure out like how much your family would receive. And the cool thing about that is there is a calculator that you can use at the end that we will show you that you can use to find out how much you're eligible for, but you still need to apply for aid. Okay, so we talked about grants. Let's talk about my second favorite type of financial aid because it also helped me go to school, and that is scholarships. Scholarships are what I love about them is they are kind of like gift aid. You typically don't have to pay them back, but they can be renewable. And so, what I love about that is this renewable option means that a student could go multiple years with that scholarship, or it can be one time only, which means they just get that amount of money. One of the best scholarships we have in Washington State is the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. This is a scholarship that covers not just your bachelor's, but it can also be used for associate's degrees. So they have different types of scholarships through the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. It's for STEM fields and income based. So I encourage you, be the student that applies for scholarships. The reason why I say this is because I've been to enough college fairs to see scholarships going awarded. In fact, there was a table next to me one year that no one picked up a scholarship application from. And so I thought it must be a hard scholarship to get, but it wasn't. I went and asked them, I said, what would I have to do to get your scholarship? And she said, fill out this form. It's got 5 questions. And those questions were, what is your name? Do you like soccer? Right there, that tells me I don't even have to like your sport to get your money. What have you learned playing soccer? And how would you bring those skills to the college you want to go to? And which college would you be attending? Those were it. That was it. So I said, hold on. If I were to say, my name's Christina, sports ball, I guess so. I think I would learn teamwork, and that's what I bring to college. And I want to go to this community college over here. And if I submitted that, she said, we would be giving you a $500 check today. No one applied. We had $500 for today to give out. Be the student that applies. And here's the other thing, students, y'all are killing me. You guys don't brag about yourselves, but you're not even like humble bragging about yourselves in your scholarship essays. It's okay to brag about yourself in your scholarship essay. And if you're not going to do it, I encourage you to have a parent or a friend read your scholarship essay because guess who's going to brag about you? They will. I promise you they will. Have somebody else read your essay and ask, what is missing in here? The best way to do it is get some friends and then a pizza. Eat a slice of pizza, take your scholarship essays, switch them to the next person, read them and add notes. Eat another slice of pizza. It's the best way to do it. Work study. I told you before, it does sound like a bummer, but I promise you, the word work and then the word study hyphen together is actually an amazing opportunity to work on campus in a variety of places. If you don't want to work in financial aid, that is okay. You will not break my heart. But if you love it, there's a support group. Don't worry, there's a lot of us. This is how we found it. You can get jobs in student life, in the fitness center, outreach. There's all these different places you can work. You have to let the college know that you're interested in work study, but what I love about it, for me, it was the first time that when I was a student that I had an opportunity outside of service industry to work. And so for me, work study was the first time an employer asked if I wanted to take time off to study for finals. It was amazing. I thought they were trying to prank me, but I was used to, if I didn't take a shift that was offered to me, I would lose shifts the next week. And so this was an amazing opportunity, not just to be exposed to different types of education, but also for me, I found something I really loved. I had a student that they worked in student life. So they were a work study in student life. They got a position there and they told their supervisor, hey, I want to be an event planner. That's what I'm going to school for. So this student was able to learn all of the on the job challenges that they would expect, but they might not get in a classroom. So the student got to learn about how to do release forms for photography and catering contracts and how to set up the student union building and how to reserve it. They also learned, what do we do when it snows 3 inches in Olympia and we have 500 burritos? What do we do with those? We have to look at the contract and spoilers. We have to get a van and go give them out to everybody downtown. But it was a great opportunity to learn additional responsibilities and be able to add that into their resume. I encourage you, be open to work study. And if you are watching this presentation and you were a work study student, if you feel comfortable, share that with the students you're working with. Okay, loans. I'm going to say it's my least favorite type, but it's the reality for a lot of students. Loans are an option that are provided to you through federal student aid if you are eligible. So, loans are funds that you receive, but you got to pay them back. It's called a loan. And so, unlike grants or work study, you have to pay these back. Now, there are two main types of loans, and there's no quiz at the end, so you don't have to memorize them, but you want to refer to this when you're looking at how much they're offering you. There are unsubsidized loans and subsidized loans. Unsubsidized loans are the loans that the minute you take them out, the interest starts accruing, you're accruing more debt. The subsidized loans, these are the loans that you take them out, and Uncle Sam's like, hey, while you're in college and for a short period after, I'm going to pay the interest on these. And so they are covered by the federal government. The interest is subsidized. I encourage you to take subsidized before unsubsidized loans. And just as spoilers, y'all don't have to take out the full amount they offer you. So if they offer you like $5,000, but you know you only need two, take out the two. Don't take out the full amount because you have to pay it back. Let everything else pay first and then take what you need, not what you want. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to take out a loan, I'm going to buy something fancy, I want you to think about, is it something that'll help you be successful in school? And think about how much you're going to pay it back if you have to pay interest on it over the course of 10 years. I want you to calculate 6.8% interest on that product for 10 years to find out how much you're actually going to pay for it. And I say this because when I was a student, I was like, I'm going to get an Xbox with that money. And then I calculated it all out. And I realized I was going to pay on that Xbox longer than it would even be something I could use. I'd probably find it at the thrift store by the time it's paid off. I encourage you, take what you need, not what you want for loans. So now that we've learned about the types of aid, where does it come from? So the federal government has funds that can be used at schools that are eligible for federal aid. So that's most schools across the US. So if you're going out of state, federal funds are what's going to be helping you do that. If you stay in the beautiful state of Washington, if you're eligible for Washington state aid, then you're going to be able to utilize your state aid. And so Washington state aid is for Washingtonians who are going to school in Washington state. So it has to be used in Washington, and you have to be a Washingtonian. And a Washingtonian is simply someone who has lived in Washington for 12 months consecutively for purposes other than college. So they've maintained a domicile in Washington for 12 months. That means typically, if you've survived Washington for 12 months, I'm talking like 12 months that include our gray season that just started, a little bit of sun, our smoke season, and another gray season. If you've survived that, I encourage you get rid of your umbrella, get a jacket with a hood, and apply for sweet state funding. Then we have the colleges. The colleges have funds that are just for you to go to that school. Sometimes it's a certain, like they give you a scholarship. Sometimes it's because you did a campus tour and they give you $100 towards tuition, but it's funds from that college that they raise themselves to give to students. And then organizations like businesses, nonprofits, churches, a little bit of everybody has different types of funds or in-kind donations to help you make education more affordable. So here are some examples of federal aid. Federal aid includes the federal Pell Grant, federal work study, subsidized and unsubsidized loans, and a third type of loan we haven't talked about yet called parent loans. Parent loans are limited to the parent of the student. They have to be taken out in the parent's name and they are retained in the parent's name. There is a limit year to year on how much you can take out in parent loans. And so I encourage before you take out parent loans, assess your own student debt first to make sure that the payments are manageable. Parent loans are harder to discharge in any of the other processes, and that's why I always tell families they are there as an option, but I always caution just to make sure. So here are some examples of Washington state aid. So we got that Washington College Grant, which you'll also hear called the WA Grant, both the same name, different names for the same beautiful program. We have College Bound, which I'll talk about in a minute. We have State Work Study, so that's the state program where you can work on campus. Passport to Careers is a program for youth experiencing unaccompanied homelessness or those who are experiencing foster care or alumni of foster care, where there's additional support to help students navigate college or career through two different pathways. They can do apprenticeship or they can do college. And then the Opportunity Grant. These are all our opportunity pathways of Washington State, and WASAC implements most of them, including the WAFSA, which we'll talk more about. So College Bound is a two-step program that students are automatically enrolled in if they are a public school student who is eligible for free or reduced price lunch in 7th or 8th grade. So if you're watching this and you're like, I can't remember if I'm college bound or not, that's okay. Middle school was a long time ago. It was like a lifetime ago, but you might be receiving emails or letters from us telling you about your college bound opportunity. And if that's the case, you probably were enrolled in it, but your counselor will be able to tell you if you are enrolled in College Bound. Youth have experienced foster care anytime between 7th and 8th grades all the way through high school graduation are automatically enrolled in this program. So they are one of the populations that is able to enroll beyond that 7th and 8th grade. And then there's a small population of 9th graders who are newly eligible as well. And then the next step is senior year. Senior year, you're going to apply for financial aid and admissions, and that's one of the ways that you're going to fulfill the College Bound program requirements. That allows us to see your income and residency requirements to make sure you're still eligible. You have to be accepted to and attend an eligible college within 1 year of graduation, which means students, you can do a gap year with this program. But let me caution you because gap years can turn to gap decades real quick. And so I want to make sure if you can apply for admissions to the college you want to go to and see if they will do a deferment of enrollment for 1 year. And that way, you know you're going to start at a certain time and it's just a lot easier. The College Bound program is limited to 6 years following that initial enrollment. So what that also says is that you could potentially, we know in college life happens. And so you could take a year off and still be able to finish using your College Bound funds. We know that life happens. And so there's a little bit more flexibility with that. So it combines with other state aid to cover the average cost of tuition at public rates. And so that's going to be the highest public rate is UW-Wazoo. They're research based, all the way down to the community colleges. If you want to attend a private college, the cool thing is some of the private colleges that are eligible through this program have their own scholarship that covers the difference between public and private tuition. So I encourage students who have college bound, dream big, look at all the options, make sure and see what's the best fit for you and then apply. It can be used at over 60 schools in Washington state. There's public, private, 2 year, 4 year. And when you apply for financial aid, you can put 20 schools on your application. There's a reason for that. So I highly encourage you look at all your options to see what the best fit for you is. Here's that Washington State calculator. If you're thinking like, I wonder if my family's going to get any money for education after high school, this will tell you what you're eligible for Washington State aid by asking you two questions. The great thing about this is it gives it to you immediately, but you still have to apply to get financial aid. So this is going to tell you what you might be eligible for, but you're still going to apply to make sure that you get those funds. So we have the rule of one. There are two applications in Washington State, but no, don't fret, students, because you only have to do one. You will do the FAFSA or the WAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. First word is free. So if someone's trying to charge you to apply for financial aid, I encourage you to take a pause and make sure you're on the right web page. And if someone's trying to charge you to apply for financial aid, you can always email me. I'll make sure you're at the right page and I can make sure that you have access to free support. So the FAFSA is for students who are eligible for federal aid. This includes students typically with a social security number or a permanent resident number, or students who are from freely associated states like Marshall Islands, or even certain refugee statuses. And so if you're doing the FAFSA, you are saying, hey, I'm eligible for federal aid, and I'd like to be considered for some of that awesome Washington State aid too. And that's what will happen when you fill out the FAFSA. If you are not eligible for federal aid or have decided and made a family decision that you're not going to pursue federal aid because you don't want to provide that information to the federal government, then you can do the WAFSA. The WAFSA is the Washington application for state financial aid, and it is also free, but it's the application for those who are not eligible for federal aid. So in Washington State, you can be undocumented and receive Washington State aid because you're a Washingtonian. And we know that for the economic viability of Washington State, it's important that every Washingtonian has access to training after high school so that they can earn a family wage. So anyone who's uncomfortable with submitting this information to the federal government can use the WAFSA to apply for state aid only. You only complete one application though. So I encourage you, if you're not sure which one to do, you can use the WAFSA webpage to do a quick questionnaire, and it will tell you whether you should complete the FAFSA or the WAFSA. I encourage you to complete the application that gives you the most funds that you're eligible for, but you're only going to complete one. This is what the FAFSA looks like. You can see the 26-27 application for financial aid, class of 26, it's open today. It's open a little bit early. So even after this presentation, you can complete your application today if you want. You can do this online or through the paper application. Online's the quickest way to be able to apply. And with the online application, you're going to get the fastest answer. But we know not all students can use the online application. And so the paper application is also an option. Paper application takes longer to process. And so I encourage you, if you're going to do the paper application, make sure you give yourself plenty of time to meet your school's deadlines. The application is available in English and Spanish on the webpage, and there's support in other languages to help you complete your application through federal student aid. The first step to doing a FAFSA, to doing the federal application for aid, is to create a studentaid.gov account. The studentaid.gov account, also known as your FSA ID, is you creating an account and saying, hey, I'm going to apply for financial aid. And you're going to use that account every year that you apply for college or for financial aid. And so the best part about this is you do it once and it's done. You'll need your own email address, and I encourage you to not use your high school email address because you lose access after you graduate. So this is a great time to create an email address that you're going to check on a regular basis that won't make an admissions officer blush. And I say that as someone who was an admissions officer whose boss used to slide her applications, and he'd say, read that email up there. And there were like literal emails I couldn't read out loud without losing my job. I encourage you, maybe don't be that person and find one that's appropriate because you'll use it for scholarships too. You don't have to have a phone number for this. It's not required, but it is optional. Okay, and then for the WAFSA, this is what the WAFSA page looks like. If you're not sure if you should do the FAFSA or the WAFSA, I encourage you to look at this page because there's a questionnaire that will allow you to be able to determine which one you should do. The WAFSA is available in English and Spanish. Again, just like the FAFSA, you're going to need your own email address and you'll need internet access. When you apply for financial aid, students, I hate to say this, but they're going to say whether you're dependent or independent. And I'm going to preface this with, you are independent humans with independent thoughts and feelings. This is just for financial aid purposes only. And for financial aid purposes only, They will most likely consider you dependent until you're 24. So you have to meet one of the requirements in the right-hand column in order to be considered independent for financial aid purposes. So that means that typically I find it's students who have already been married or students who have their own dependent that they provide support for, 51% or more supportive, but also anyone who's been in foster care after the age of 13, even if you've been adopted, will be able to be considered independent for financial aid purposes. Same if you're experiencing unaccompanied homelessness and you're self-supporting. There are options to support you at the high school too through McKinney-Vento. And if you haven't explored that option, I encourage you to. And then also on here, if you are in a legal guardianship as defined by a Washington court, they are going to just use your income information. So students who are dependent are going to be required to provide parent information on the financial aid application, and students who are independent will not have to provide that information. If you are in a situation where you're considered dependent, but you cannot provide parent information because you don't know where your parents are, or if the parent relationship is abusive, or other reasons that would put you in danger to get this information. Students, I'm here to tell you there's a thing to check off on the application saying that it would put you in danger, and I encourage you to use that. We want you to be safe in this process, and the reason why I am using my little serious tone here is because I've seen students think that because the federal government is asking for something that it supersedes a protection order. Safety comes first and then financial aid. And that's coming from the woman who loves financial aid so much. We want you to be safe first. You'll check that box, and then a financial aid office will be able to talk to you and determine your eligibility as an independent student. To apply for financial aid, students, you don't have to have a driver's license or state ID, but it's nice to have. So if you have one, you can use that. You're going to need your income information from 2024. So if you filed taxes in 24, you'll need that. But if not, usually your pay stubs or W-2s are helpful. If you are considered dependent, your parent is going to have to provide information. And so they'll need to have access to their bank statements, child support received. And if they have a small business that has more than 100 employees, they're going to need to have valuation of that business. If your parent is completing the FAFSA, they will need to create an FSA ID, and you will need to create one as well. If you're completing the WAFSA, student, you just need to create a WAFSA account. Your parent won't do anything right away, but you'll invite them to create one later. If you are filing the FAFSA and you look at your social security card and there is a mistake on it, I say this because it happens every year. Number one, sustaining the miracle of life that first year is really exhausting, and sometimes mistakes happen. So it's okay. You can get it changed on your social security card, but if your name is done incorrectly, and you see that now, or if you have a very recent name change, if you haven't made that name change paperwork, if you haven't put it in yet, you're going to want to put your information in it as listed on your card, even if it's incorrect, and then you can update it after your card is updated. And I say this because they're going to match your information to the Social Security Administration database to make sure you are who you are before you can start your application. And the good news is this year, it happens automatically. You used to have to wait 1 to 3 days to have that happen, but not anymore. You might be asked to complete another financial aid application called the CSS profile. The CSS profile is kind of like the FAFSA's nosy cousin. It's going to ask you more in-depth questions to make sure, and this is from the colleges, to make sure that the colleges can apply as much funds to you as possible. Only 2 colleges in Washington State use this, Whitman and Whitworth. It is if your family makes under $100,000, it's free. And if you make over $100,000, it's $25 plus $16 for each school you send the report to. They do this not because they're trying to apply federal or state aid to you, but because they have institutional aid, money that the college has raised that they're trying to hand out. But they want to make sure they're giving it to the right students. So they ask you more information to show your ability to pay. So here's your timeline, and it's happening real quick here. You're going to gather your required documents, and you're going to create a studentaid.gov account or a WAFSA account, and you'll only do that once. The FAFSA and the WAFSA open October 1st, but the FAFSA is already open, y'all. Opened a week early. You have to apply for financial aid and admissions at the same time. They have two different deadlines, though. So admissions has a deadline and financial aid has a deadline, and they're usually not the same deadline. For example, like UW, it's like November 15th for their admissions application and January 15th for their financial aid application. If you are applying to a bunch of schools, I encourage you to make a list so you meet all your deadlines, or use our OtterBot to make sure you stay on track. And we'll talk more about OtterBot and how it can help you. If a college reaches out to you and they're asking for additional information, they might send you a letter, like an old school letter, like Hogwarts style. They might send you a postcard. They might send you a portal notification or an email. I don't care if they send you like a pigeon with a note tied to its leg. It means that you have to provide additional information, typically before they can give you any of your money for school. So if a financial aid office reaches out to you, unfortunately, it's not because they want to be pen pals, it's because they need something. And so I encourage you, open that letter. If you don't know what they're asking for, reach out to them. It breaks financial aid officers' hearts when they can't provide you with the money that's yours because of this process called verification. And they're just verifying the information you listed. And then finally, you will receive an admissions offer from the school. So the school is going to tell you whether they're admitting you or not. And then they're going to give you what's called a financial aid offer, also known as an award letter, that tells you how much they're offering you, how much the federal government's offering you, how much the state government's offering you. So, state, federal, and institutional, how much in loans, and how much you should be paying out of pocket afterwards. So that's the whole timeline for you. And for a lot of this, it's going to be throughout the school year. But some of you will have timeline like that is shorter because of the schools you've selected to apply to. So here's the good news. The FAFSA and WAFSA open October 1. So in the past, it's opened late, and this is the first year in a while that's opened up on time. And you're going to be using the 2627 FAFSA or WAFSA using 2024 income information. So the 2627 FAFSA or WAFSA sounds super futuristic, but I promise you, students, that's when you're attending college. When you go to apply for financial aid, it's going to say, do you want to apply for the 2526 or 2627? 2526 is if you're going to college right now, this minute, for this year. 2627 is for when the class is 26 is going to be going to college, and that's the application you want to complete. If you fill out the wrong one, it's okay, no worries. You're going to learn how to do a renewal, which means you'll be ahead of the game for next year. You're going to apply for financial aid every year that you go to college. And here's how you're going to remember that. When it gets pumpkin spice and everything nice out there, I want you to think about financial aid. I want it to be like a Pavlov dog response. I want you to see, and I'm not talking about pumpkin spice, like early pumpkin spice. I'm not talking about like Starbucks August pumpkin spice thing that they throw out there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you see a full-blown pumpkin spice situation, when you see stuff in stores that are pumpkin spice combos that gross you out, I want you to automatically think, have I applied for financial aid yet? You see that pumpkin spice salmon, which I saw at the store? I want you to think financial aid every year because October is the best month ever. It's going to start with financial aid opening and it ends with a day where you can say 3 magical words and get free candy from strangers. If you are consuming freely obtained fun-sized candy bars and you haven't applied for financial aid yet, I encourage you to take all that fun-sized deliciousness and put it together for the full-size task of doing your financial aid. And there'll be workshops every year to help you. So if you're like, I don't know if I'm able to remember this next year, come back and visit us for another workshop next year and we'll help you. So class of 26, you're going to start looking at your high school and beyond plan and make sure that I would use that to assess your post-secondary options, your education after high school. Talk to your counselor to make sure you're on track for graduation. If you are a running start student and you are getting your associates at the same time as your high school diploma, first of all, that is awesome. Amazing. I used to work with running start students. It's so cool. But I want you to know that you will be applying for your major, typically your junior year of college, which means you can use this year to see, are there any of your graduation requirements that are high school or associates that also align with with your transferring into your major. So always ask your transfer advisor, what can I be taking not just to be a more viable candidate for admissions at your school, but what can I take to make sure that I'm also going towards my major? It's a lot of planning, but it's totally worth it. If you don't know which application to do for financial aid, don't worry. Are you gonna do the FAFSA or are you gonna do the WAFSA? I guarantee you're not gonna do both though. You're just gonna do one and you're gonna use the WAFSA eligibility tool to find out which one to do if you don't know which one. No worries, you'll answer a couple questions and it'll tell you to do which application you're eligible for. And then you can create that studentaid.gov, your FSA ID, or your WAFSA account um, at any point in time, and then you'll start applying. We have a web page for y'all for our juniors and seniors and highly motivated freshmen and sophomore who want to learn more about their steps for education after high school. And then we have events all across the state. We have a calendar that you can access that has everything across Washington that will help you with your financial aid. Students, we made a Padlet for you. This literally has everything you're going to need to know about financial aid. It has all the steps for the FAFSA, all the steps for the WAFSA, what to do if you get stuck, other financial aid resources, and then we got some feedback from y'all, and we added things like where to find a library card in your new community, where can we find culturally responsive foods in your new community, how do you find resources through 211 in your new community, even if you're moving out of state, all of these resources can help you. And then we also have our Washington College grant videos. I love y'all because you gave me a compliment sandwich. We do some longer videos on financial aid, and students were like, hey, we like that you love financial aid, but man, those videos are long. Next time, could you maybe like do a cartoon or like maybe teach your Basset Hound how to do financial aid? And because I cannot get Scully to do financial aid, unfortunately, we have bouncing heads for you until I can train her on financial aid. And so these videos are 2 minutes or less, and they talk about different topics about financial aid and paying for education after high school, and they're in multiple languages. Then OtterBot. OtterBot is a free tech support that's for students in Washington State. So if you're a high school student in Washington State, you and your parents are eligible for free support through our OtterBot program. Otters, I don't know if you know this about them, but they have this super cute thing. They hold hands with another otter so they don't float away from each other. And we are worried that you will float away and not get the help that you need. So our OtterBot is our way of just trying to hold hands with you for a little bit through the financial aid process. But you can ask us all your questions no matter the time of day, and it will respond back to you. And if you stump the otter, it's okay. It'll be like, I'm a mere otter. Let me get my humans. And then it's going to tell us that you have questions, and we will answer them during the workday when we're awake. And that's what I love about the OtterBot. So you can sign up for it, and parents, you can sign up for it as well, and it will provide you with reminders and updates. So here's the parent link as well. So we have students and parents who can use this for free. And then finally, we're here to help. If you have questions, if you need support in this process, we are here to help you. There's an entire team that is just rooting for you. You may never meet us, but we are behind you the whole way. If you feel like you don't have this, reach out to us. You do have it. And we will make sure you have the support that you need. We have lots of resources and partners that we work with. We're so excited for your options for education after high school. And if there's anything we can do to help you navigate that, let us know. I'm going to go